Welcome to Uncapped Notes Live. Jose, I'm really glad that we can do this session together.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you for having me.
All right, wonderful. Representing two countries today, I'm here in the United States. Jose is down in Mexico. And a little bit of context if you're new to Uncapped Notes Live. So for this session, we're going to do a pitch deck teardown. But let's remove the negative connotations of a teardown. We're actually going to review a startup pitch deck and then provide some advice on how to sharpen the pitch deck, maybe some things we noticed about the story or even the styling, just so that the viewers here who are primarily startup founders can get a perspective of how investors are thinking through and reviewing opportunities, just like the company that we're going to review in just a moment. I'm Eric. I'm one of the co-founders at Hustle Fund. Jose, do you want to quickly introduce yourself before we jump into the review?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, hey everybody, I'm Jose. I'm actually originally from Nicaragua, Central America, but I'm up here in Mexico. I've been in the high finance space for a little while, 5-6 years. Started a little bit as an investment banker, I guess the usual for some people, not for everybody. But it's been quite a ride. And I think what has brought me to venture capital and Hustle Fund is the idea to be here and help founders, not only with capital, but the support that we can provide and help them the business of tomorrow. Yeah.
Wonderful. Jose, thank you again for doing this with me today. Jose is part of our Hustle Fund Venture Fellows cohort as well. A very special program where I get to rely on his expertise, do some collaboration to better serve founders together. All right, before we jump in, here's like the context I want to set. I want to remind people of the year 1997. So what happened in 1997? I was like 15 or 16 years old, and this movie called Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery came out. Jose, did you ever see Austin Powers, the first one?
Yes. It was okay. Yeah.
All right. Legendary film. I'm surprised it didn't win the Oscar that year. There's a scene that Jose and I probably remember. I hope you remember this, where Austin Powers is International Man of Mystery. He's in a cryogenic state. He gets unfrozen out of his cryostasis, and then temporarily he loses his inner monologue, meaning like everything that he was thinking internally is expressed outwardly with hilarious effects. So that is us right now. We are Austin Powers out of our cryostasis, Jose. And what I hope that you and I can do is to share our thoughts in real time of what we are seeing and thinking as we review this company, which is called Urdaten. So that said, let me go ahead and share this screen with the deck. Awesome. And we can review this together. Okay, I think you can see it, Jose?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Let's jump into this thing. So again, Austin Powers, Urdaten, which is document intelligence. Okay, generally, with these cover slides, I like a little bit more context of what this company is about, but I think we're going to get into that in this story. Here's what we can do. Maybe we can do a quick pass, and then we'll come back and do some more detailed looks on what this business is all about. So they begin with a traction slide. So let's see a little bit of background here. It sounds like the founders met during their education. They were bootstrapped a company together. Maybe it's together. I'm not quite sure. And had some success in serving some clients down in Mexico. And then now they're building Urdaten, which is a document intelligence product. Has a little bit of ARR. Seems very early. Has some interesting pipeline with some nice logos. And then looking to scale into the United States. I'm getting the sense that they are still primarily Mexico-based.
Yeah.
And then the target, so they want to get to $1 million in ARR this year. Okay, with a little bit of capital raised so far. The part that I want to come back to is this debt thing. We'll get there maybe in the second pass. So let's see what we can understand what they're trying to do here. Unstructured documents still trap massive values for companies. So you have all these random documents, maybe things like a small law firm, legal documents, things like that. And I still don't quite understand what they're talking about when it comes to document workflows. Actually, Jose, here's a good time to pause. Do you have a definition of how you're interpreting this?
It's a little bit, I'm not like intuitive understanding the whole value proposition because it's two very different things, right? Having small legal teams and large corporations doesn't seem like all is legal. I think it's like they are trying just to make it easier from when they have documents to what the type of workflows they want. They want to onboard clients or they want to review or make audits. I guess that's
Okay.
kind of like where my mind is going right now, but not sure.
Okay.
Two different places, I guess. Very
Yeah,
different.
actually, that's a really good use case. Maybe like a use case, and we're just conjecturing here, and that's already maybe a bad sign that we have to conjecture, is like audit's a good one, or maybe it's something like you and I are running a business together. We have a pile of receipts that we never entered into a ledger, and we're dumping it into this thing and hoping that a magical clean ledger can take place so we can run our taxes and do audits and things like that. Let's keep going here. So document intelligence, one engine, two experiences. So for legal teams, so there's that legal use case, no code workflows. So they're trying to make this as non-technical as possible. Just dump your shit into our platform and then we'll clean it up for you. Wipe your butts. And then the large enterprise use case, so private document AI, what is that? So enterprise document intelligence available on Kubernetes for private sovereign environments. It's a lot of privacy aspects here. So maybe they're trying to create a bit of differentiation of we're very secure. That's the first grok that I have from this. A lot of wall text here. So for legal teams, end-to-end workflows, plug and play, no code, document automation, zero setup. Okay, large enterprises with private repositories, security, a lot of security.
Yeah, it seems like two different value propositions, right? For different. I
think
don't
you're
know.
onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
like this almost feels like pick one, intended customer persona, ICP, right?
Yeah.
Let's come back to that in a second though. I think there's a shape of like feedback that's starting to happen here. So they're charging $5 per document workflow. Again, that's a little bit vague to me what that actually means. And then for enterprises, price on compute. Okay, market slide. Most solo lawyers don't use workflow automation. And then 55% or more of the world's storage is on private deployments. Okay, we'll come back to that. Competitive intelligence. So they're putting themselves on parity against AWS, Google Cloud, DocuSign. So these are more storage things. Let's keep going. This is the team. Looks like they have some credible experiences in data.
Yeah.
Nice education. Looks like they've done some sales. And then a reiteration of they want to hit 1 million at the end of this year. Spin out into a separate legal entity. Let's come back to that. And thank you. I think that was it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll start from the very beginning. But first, before we go maybe a little bit closer look on the side by slide, Jose, we had a choice of a couple of companies that we could have reviewed for today. And actually, you nominated that this one could be a good one for us to review. Was there something that called out in this company that, for you, got you excited to talk through this at more depth today?
I think what initially got me excited was to see that this could be a market with a team that already knows a lot of it. So it could be like a good value proposition to understand how people who already know this and know this space are trying to solve a problem. I think that's what caught my attention. However, there's like a lot of things that still need to be answered as we were just seeing.
Yeah. There are some pathways here already just from the start. I'm like, oh, okay, I can see where this could become like a real large business. But after even that quick review, I came away with more questions than answers, actually. So let me go through this. So first piece of feedback that I usually have for founders out there is actually on this cover slide. I tend to like a one-liner that will explain what this product does. Document intelligence, I think, is too brief. In addition to that, too, is a small stylistic thing that I normally recommend for founders, which is to put your contact information on the footer or somewhere on every single slide. And the reason why I like that is VCs, angels, like we have a bad habit of sort of screen capping things and texting it around, emailing it, messaging, WhatsApping, whatever. So you always want to have a pathway back. If this is Jose's company and like a VC friends, I really like this thing, that they can just go direct to you. So there's a lot of opportunities in this space, and there's even more optimizations, but I'm nitpicking here. Let's go to this traction slides. It's a little bit weird for me, Jose, to see a founder start with a traction slide and roadmap. Like I rarely see that, at least at the pre-seed stage, unless there's like a chart. And also some of these things on the slide don't really relate to traction to me. So example would be like the background. Like this is more of a team thing, not really a traction thing. Then now part. That's not true. They talk about, oh, we met in college.
And how they bootstrap their agency. I think I guess I see the first and the second slide and I try to understand, okay, they're trying to position themselves in a certain market. They're trying to say it's huge, and then they're trying to like validate why they could be the winning team for this market.
Yeah. And you know what? There's something that I've finally understood, but it took me a long time to understand the slide, which is, so their current jobs are running this data agency.
Yeah.
And then they say, and then we're going to spin out on this like scaled product company here. So for me, this is, okay, now the roadmap kind of makes sense. Like so if they've almost put this as like a timeline, maybe it's like a stylistic thing, which is, okay, 2016, me and my co-founder meet at top college, whatever. And then whatever year, like we start this data engineering agency, whatever year after that, we hit 4 million in ARR.
Yeah.
And then after serving like these great clients like Dell and NVIDIA, we realized there's a big product here. So then in this year, whatever, we launch a document intelligence product. It's already starting to get some traction. And then by the end of 2026, we're going to hit 1 million. Right? If there are almost like a timeline here, I think that might be a better view of the history of this business.
And I think sorry.
No, go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts, Jose.
So I feel, as you were like laying out that timeline, I feel like it's also a little bit loaded with more questions. Like right now you're saying like, oh, they met in 2016. It seems like they initially had an agency, so they were doing more like service to Dell and NVIDIA and these other partners.
Yeah.
Now they discovered there's another product they could package and sell as another company, and they're seeing some traction into it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that also kind of requires more questions, right? If they were in Mexico, they want to go into the US. What are they doing? Like, how is that coming along? I guess it paints an interesting picture, but not so much of, oh, I want to jump in it. Like it just raises more questions.
I think I like we're going with this, Jose. So this slide may be more powerful if there were less information on here. So like already two big questions that like you raised some good questions around like Mexico to expansion within the United States and all stuff, which we'll talk about, I think, a little bit later. But this thing was weird, which is like raising venture. How do I do that big arrow thing? Raising venture debt. Like that's weird. I don't really hear people talk about debt this early in a company's life. In addition to that too, like going back to this is like, you're already making 4 million a year with this bootstrap data engineering business. That sounds pretty good. Are you going to be full-time on this company? Like, how are you going to split your time? So I think less information is probably better if you're trying to leave a really strong first impression. And also stylistically too, I think a wall of text as like your first slide after the cover is a little bit hard to process, right? Definitely. And for those who are watching right now, like me and Jose, freaking spent like 5 minutes already just trying to understand what was on the page. So let's keep going to this next slide. So even with LLMs, unstructured documents still trap massive values for all companies. Okay, dude, Jose, there's like a gorilla in the room, or 800-pound, whatever that animal is, elephant, is like
a very huge one.
Yeah, a big animal, right?
Yeah.
They never address like Claude, OpenAI. And that's normally what I think about first when it comes to unstructured documents is, okay, here's like a bunch of like crazy shit. I'm just going to dump it into a Claude Cowork folder, and then Claude is going to rationalize it for me. That's what I think about. And there's zero mention of this. In fact, they compare themselves later to like cloud storage. I don't know if that was like a bit of confusion or a flag that you felt when you saw this slide, or were there other reactions that you got from this slide number 2 or 3 here?
That one thing that you just said, I guess I did not think about it. Like, of course, you have all this platforms that can help you already kind of understand all your data and all the stuff that you have on your background. But you're talking about two very different examples, right? Like how small teams do it, how large corporations could do it. You're talking about workflows.
Yeah.
I think for the large corporations, it's more about sensitive data and how you're protecting it. And for the others, it's more about the workflows. So again, it feels loaded. Like you said, it's like a lot of things. And you're not actually telling me the one thing that you're going to do right. Like, how are you going to solve one specific problem for one ICP? I think that's the part that's getting me confused, or just kind of like you said, it's just a big thing to digest, right? Where do you go from here?
I like that you're bringing it back to that point, which is there are two very varying kind of use cases being cited here under one company umbrella. So that small legal team, and they mentioned solo lawyers, so very small as an ICP later, and then large companies, which are the opposite of solo businesses, right? They have a security concern here, and then there's one that is more about optimizing for scaling small practices.
Yeah.
To Urdatson's credit, Jose, I actually think that either one of those use cases could be a pretty good business, but
Definitely.
merging both together is confusing. What would be your takeaway for how they should maybe sharpen their story, or for like on this slide?
It's interesting because now I'm thinking about the later slides, even though we're not there, but just about the pricing and how they're going to structure it and how they're going to build it. Because to my advice would be here is if you're trying to show pre-seed traction, what you're doing, you need your wedge, right? And I feel like the small legal teams kind of like workflow might be your wedge. So just from that perspective, I would say just continue building on that idea, right? Like what if they want to build one business, how would that look like? And then you can talk about everything around it.
I like that. Founders, if you're looking at that, maybe like isolating like the single use case to begin. Yeah. It's not to say you say no to both, but there could be horizons of this stuff. Like show success on one ICP, and then if it naturally moves into the second one, then put that in the appendix or something. I think like this clarity of narrative is a bit confusing. Okay, document intelligence. So they're doubling down, right? They're just saying we have this one beautiful engine that covers like the solo case as well as the enterprise case. Now, to their credit, Jose, I do like screenshots like this. It does add it adds a little bit more color what they're doing. Some best practices I've seen in the past are things like animated GIFs, maybe some video. I don't know if you've ever seen other kinds of like preview use cases, Jose, that like impressed you that might help them on this slide.
Actually, there was one. I recently talked to some people down in Austin building this kind of agent to help you do vibe coding better.
Yeah.
And there was one moment when they were like saying, "Oh, this is how we do it." Then it just one slide became like a video, right? Like a short 30-second video on how they do this. And for me, that was like a little bit of that mind opening of, oh, this is your power. This is how you do it. This is how it works. This is what people are going to take out from here. And to your point, I always tell folks, like, you can tell me a great story and I can see great videos and GIFs and everything, but it always goes down to understanding visually for me, like, how does that work? How does that play? And just having those videos that tells you like, this is step one, step two, step three, and this is like where the value of the customer is. It's always a huge win because now I can picture that instead of just thinking of it.
I like that. I think that's a great note here. Showing, not telling is a good opportunity right here. Hopefully the founders listening can take that feedback. Okay, this slide is more text, but also has no headline, right? I think a big problem here is, Jose, like I'm really biased towards, you should have a headline on every single slide, but ideally it reads like a sentence. So I can just like, you and I could just scan the headlines alone and get 70% of the story here. So it's a lot of reading, and Jose and I are like reviewing so many pitch decks. So this is lazy, but it's true. Don't make us read so much. And also in addition to that too, I'm not sure I'm getting that much more from this text, right? So they're talking about like some of the nuances of how this serves the legal teams a little bit better. It's a little bit jargony, and then workflows, plug and play, no code document automation. That can mean a lot of different kinds of businesses. And then you see this over here, like like Kubernetes, dark archives, VLMs. I don't know what a VLM is. A queryable asset powered by VLMs and a living ontology. That's a lot of big words for my very simple mind, Jose. I don't know if there's other feedback you have, but this has to be sharpened down a lot and dumbed down. Yeah.
It could also be an appendix, right? At the end, just like more information if they want to get.
Actually, perfect. That's the right place to put this, I think. Maybe this text is good, but it's in the wrong place in the slide. So I like that appendix suggestion. Revenue model, $5 per document workflow, and then enterprise. So I think what was missing for me, Jose, when I saw this was like, I still don't get how, I can't tell how this scales up. Just even if it were something simple, like in our first year, we assume we're going to get a mix of 300 legal teams and like 20 enterprises or something like that, right? Like I don't have a sense of like where you weight these kinds of revenue inputs. That was a big one for me. And then prepaid credits. Like this headline doesn't quite tell me what's going on here. Plus, also for the enterprise stuff is priced by compute. So how do you prepay for compute? Maybe you can. Maybe you actually there are models for that. But yeah, I don't know if there's some other takes that you got from this one. This one felt too sparse.
Yeah, and I feel and again, it's just like too big of a difference, right? From $5 to 50K a year, right?
Oh yeah.
Having that plus in there is okay, so it could be 15, it could be 20. What's kind of like the number the plus could be at, right? Like a good range could be helpful.
Yeah.
And even the first one is just like per document workflow. The more I think about it, is are you gonna build a workflow and then you're gonna charge for all the documents that go through the workflow? Or like each document has their own workflow? Like it just spins me out into like, how is this actually gonna play out, right? And and it's just big,
Yeah, I feel you. Well, we got a couple more minutes here, so let's see if we can speed run through a couple more of these things. This looks like the market slide. It's an interesting take. I tend to like a simple TAM slide though, right? To say this is a 10 billion, 20 billion, $50 billion opportunity. I guess as an angel who's soon to be a professional VC in the near future, I think. What do you like to see in a good market slide?
I like it when you can tie it to the math on the pricing that you had before. So I normally like to see it kind of like a little bit more combined, because if you can tell me how that price is going to get tied up to the percentage of the TAM, of the SAM, of all the things that you're kind of like targeting, then it just tells me like, oh, you really know the market and how you're going to make it. And to your point, is that just helps. That tier of the market with the pricing, I think it aligns a lot of the story.
Yeah, that's great. Great feedback there. We'll go quickly on this one. I think I would cut this. It's really confusing. Comparing yourself to AWS and DocuSign, I'm not quite sure how that works. Also, it's not clear to me how the solo lawyers and then the enterprise contracts funnel into this view. And also, you're still not touching Claude or ChatGPT as a competitor, which I think is a bit of a miss, but can be rectified. Yeah. And then there's the team slides. Yeah, these look like smart guys. Sorry?
I think I like this one the most because it's like your point. It's exactly what you're looking for. Oh, who are they? What's their experience? Yeah. And they actually have done sales before. So it tells you they know how to do distribution. This actually kind of excites me.
I agree. I think this is a pretty decent slide. And I almost wanted this as the first slide as a cover after the cover. It's just, we are credible. Look at us. We're not like children, like pretending to be like founders here. And I like that. I think Edwin, Sergio, if you're listening like this, you did a pretty good job here. And then the reiteration of the investment opportunity, some of the goals that they have, and that's it. Okay. I think that was a really great review that we just did now, Jose. But if we were to distill it down to maybe your final key takeaways, and if you're talking to them saying, if you focus on these 1, 2, or 3 things, what would those be for you?
Yeah, I think it's mainly, like you said, just understanding the one problem they're doing and how are they going to target that specifically, right? If this is a problem, then these are the clients, this is how we're going to charge it, this is the market. That kind of like clean, I guess you could have done it like in 5 slides, right? You just kind of tell the story. So I feel like tying that experience with that actual continuance of one problem, one solution, one market, it's always going to be kind of like the biggest advice I could give all founders.
I think I'm going to double down on what you just said. That's right. Like the simplicity of just picking a single problem, a single ICP, and really just making the case that you can be incredibly good at just focusing on that is great. I think like what they're attempting to do here is create like a more horizontal platform play of like our platform is really extensible to all these use cases. That actually might be true. But then like you start to edge into the realm of other horizontal LLMs like ChatGPT and Claude and Zima, whatever open source models. Can they do what you're doing to some degree? So I like vertical AI companies personally, man. They're just like, just laser focus on this one thing. It doesn't matter what these general LLMs do. I'm always going to just focus on that one thing.
And it took me, now that you mentioned that, at the end they were saying they were partnering a lot with NVIDIA and Dell. So I'm just trying to think, are they actually just targeting to work alongside Dell and NVIDIA? If that's the play, if there's already an infrastructure and they can just be the layer on that infrastructure, I think that could be a little bit more vertical than horizontal idea that we have. But that's, I guess, to the point of we should have got more information from that perspective instead of just, oh, here's everything we could do.
Yeah.
I guess that's the verticality we were just looking for.
Yeah, yeah. Jose, I think we're at our time right now. Very well said to wrap things up here. Really grateful that we could co-pilot this one together. It was a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
to the Dotson team as well, thank you so much for letting us have the opportunity to look at your company. I don't want you to walk away like Jose and we don't want you to walk away feeling, oh, it's just negative stuff. Actually, there's a lot of really good stuff here. It's just more of a little bit of sharpening of the narrative and a bit of focus on especially that ICP that we keep on hammering on. And I can actually see this being like a pretty viable business out here. Wishing you guys well. Jose, thank you again for taking some time to do this with me. Appreciate you, dude.
Love being here. Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right, y'all. We'll see you at the next Uncapped Notes Live. Bye for now. See you soon.
Yeah.